Hello, welcome to another game analysis video. This time we've got a bit more fumble from the World Cup warm-up tournament that's going on at the moment. So that's using the rules that will be used in the NAF World Cup in Dornbirn, Austria later in this year, the tabletop tournament. So this is just sort of a few practice games with the rules to see what happens. So I've got my Undead here, and they are facing off against some Amazons with Roxana Darknail, the star player. 5 skills on my Undead, so I've got a Guard, which is the G on this mummy and this white. I've got a Wrestle Ghoul, a Block Ghoul, and a Tackle white, so Teeth Tackle, B for block, etc. The Amazons have got 3 players with Guard, the G, and 1 player with Mighty Blow. If you're not familiar with the icons, these 4 players here are the Blitzers, and all the rest are linemen, apart from Roxana, who's at the back. Hopefully reasonably evident. So let's get started. I decided to kick. I was put into to kick, and I decided to just experiment with this little defense with the mummies on the line to see if I could make it difficult for my opponent to hit all of them, and to try and mitigate the damage on the zombies. I didn't want to just let them get just chipped for free. It's not something I normally do. I decided to just try it because it's a practice game. But actually, I don't think it worked out very well. He managed to get 2 dice blocks on all of them, so it's probably something I won't try again. Yeah, so that was a pretty easy counter. Just blocking from that angle with the guard guy to follow up into that square there. Got a stun on the mummy as well, which lucky didn't go off. So yeah, I think we've made our mind up about that particular strategy. The idea with it is that to suck the Amazons in for a few more blocks on my turn. So as you can see, there's a couple of Amazons in contact now that I get to hit back next turn. And then I can stand my mummies up. Well, I was hoping they wouldn't go be stunned, but I stand that one up, and then I'm in a situation where I've held my ground for the start of the drive. So positionally, it works out perfectly well, but I think the risk of losing a mummy or the guard white who's key so early on is probably not worth the positional advantage. Yeah, you can see I've got there's all these Amazons in here, and even though there's guard involved, I've got guard 2, and I can probably hit back. Unfortunately, the guard mummy's stunned us turn. Otherwise, that would have been very easy to sort of push all these guys back. So yeah, I'm not sure. Just a naked foul on a tackle. White was the best idea there. He's got himself sent off for his troubles as well. So there is some justice in the world. Yeah, so I've got a stand up a guard guy, nice little block there, and I'm just going to stand up my guys and just keep a defensive line, try and protect the naked ghouls at the back, because there's a block Mighty Blow player that's running around that could quite easily target those guys. So try and keep those guys protected, and try to find a way to get a blitz on my tackle guy this turn. So yeah, with that little foul at the end of the turn, I sense that my opponent might be not be the most experienced, so I'm just trying to put a bit of pressure on here. Try and maintain my defense. And that's why this Blood Ghoul's gone in as well, and then this Naked Ghoul here is reasonably safe. It'd be quite difficult for him to extricate a guard guy to come around here to try and hit with the Mighty Blow guy. That'd be a dodge and I'd go for it. So if you also try that, that's fair enough. So even though he's got quite a lot of guard, I feel like this is a blocking war that I'm going to win in the long term. I will. You'd imagine I have to roll some powers at some point. Have to roll some armor breaks at some point. But unfortunately, he gets the lucky break first. So Pales a blodger, and KOs him. So that's pretty unlucky, but we'll carry on. He's a man down from the sending off anyway, so it's not the end of the world. This is always going to be the weak part of the defence here, where this stunned mummy was, but because Roxana, the ball carrier, is so far back that you can't really take advantage of that and move too far forward into my half. So Roxana's forward now, so I'm a little bit more concerned about her running away, but I think the key part of this defence is going to be Roxana can basically go wherever she wants. You just have to assume that she's going to make a 2-up leap and 2-up dodge if she wants to. So at this stage of the half, you're trying to slow down everybody else on the team, so that if she goes somewhere crazy, she can't take anybody with her. So if you can just defend against everybody else, then Roxana can't really go out on her own, and so you're defending okay. So this is why I'm trying to defend on this line quite far forward, so that she's not within range of scoring. So once Roxana gets 3 squares into my half, or once the cage gets 3 squares into my half, so that means realistically he needs to get 5 squares in with the front part of the cage. She'll score for definite if he can sort of maintain that cage and keep it coherent. So that's why I'm trying to defend quite far forward and stop the Amazons getting any movement at all. So we're going to have to try and push back these players here on my turn. But now Roxana's involved, I can get a lot more pressure, and if we get everybody involved and get involved in a little bit of a blocking war, then I'm hopeful that there might be a little bit of a chain push activity or opportunity that comes around later. Trying to keep the mummies together here, so that a lot less easy for him to just get all his guard players involved and get rid of them. So I'm trying to set up a chain push blitz here, so that I can push this player back and then this player back as well on top of that. Just to stop the development that the Amazons have got into my half on their last turn. There's an opportunity here to just double tag a guy. It's always a nice little move. Just double tag a guy out if it's not really important, and then you can hopefully get some blocks on the next turn. Blitzing with my tackle guy, that's great. So I can get the push back as well, and then move here, and then this naked ghoul otherwise a bit exposed, so there mighty blow guy there. So I'm just going to swap their positions around, the zombie and the ghoul. So we're in a much better position. We've recovered our stunned mummy. He's got both of them together, so that it's not too easy for him to really leverage all those guys. I mean, yeah, that's fine. He's got 2 rerolls total. If he's going to be rolling 1 dice box to open the turn, then we've done our job. That's a good turn, even with block. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty sketchy play now. Making dodges with line women for no real reason, in order to try and maintain the back of the cage. Again, 1 dice block without block. Like this is great. Like, if we can make our opponent do this for another 5 more turns, then we're going to turn them over, unless they get extremely lucky. Yeah, and that was a foul at -2. So I mean, that's just disastrous. Luckily, he was punished for that as well. I tried to look into a potential of chain push here to try and open up an angle, but I don't think I could get a play around unless I power this line woman at the bottom first. So there's definitely a potential of pushing Roxana out into this square by hitting this zombie into that player, into that player, into Roxana. But I just need to power this person first so that the wrestle person can come round. And I don't think I can get a guard round either, so it would be a 1 dice. So just trying to work that out at this point. And in the end I decided not to go for it. Unfortunately, rolled a 1 in 9 on the first block of the turn, so I just have to be a lot less proactive for the rest of the turn, which is a bit of a shame. Could otherwise put on some pressure or a couple of extra blocks, but I just have to be a bit more cautious now. So that's why we're hanging back and keeping our players out of contact. Well, not keeping some of our players out of contact, just like defending a line rather than and this player, this line woman doesn't have blocks, and neither do I, so I can do this last action of the turn knowing that if I 1 in 9, then at least we're both going down. Fortunately, she survives. And then a little bit of a readjustment there. Might as well put that wrestle person next to a player, so there's a block going on. Yeah, and this is a nice position where we want to have this mummy on this blitzer here. That's fine. There's virtually no chance that he's going to be able to get a good block on there, unless he wants to commit 2 guard players, 1 next to tackle, 1 next to my guard wrestle. Should be pretty unlikely. Yeah, unfortunately the slight passivity of my previous turn allowed him to blitz this naked goal, and obviously he immediately just kills it. C'est la vie. That is Blood Bowl. So it's a good job he made 2 absolutely ridiculously bad fouls. I got sent off. Otherwise I'd be men down at this point. But yeah, he's moved his cage backwards, so otherwise it's a good turn. We've positionally achieved what we're trying to achieve. So that's okay. And if you get Amazons dodging, then I think you've won the war, but you've won the battle basically. Even though Amazons have dodge, they almost never want to have to use it with any reliability. You know, if you're building your whole drive around 3 or 4 8 and 9 dodges per turn, then as soon as you make 12, 15 of those, something's going to fail and you're going to get caught out. Well, unfortunately, that's not happened yet, but keep our fingers crossed. Eventually, you might fail or something. Just have to keep playing to the best of your ability and just making the right decisions, hopefully, and hoping that it pans out. So just trying one-on-one some players here. So marking that blitzer with the zombies, fine. And then put some more pressure on the rest of the cage, so that it becomes a lot harder to leverage this easy block. A few more pushes, unfortunately. The Amazons are being stereotypically Amazon. But that's fine. So now we've seen the result of our blocks, we can move the rest of these guys in. Just got full information. I thought about moving around the back, but actually that's a bad idea with Roxana in particular. So now it's getting to about turn 4, middle of the first half. So I'm thinking about Roxana making a breakaway, maybe supported by 2 or 3 players. So we're having a wrestle guy hang back a little bit to try mitigate against that a little bit. I'm also concerned that if Roxana does make a breakaway and I do manage to blitz her down, I still need the ghoul to try and pick the ball, so that's why this ghoul's hanging back sort of here-ish. Still in contact to try and put extra pressure on, and he's still hiding a little bit away from the mighty blow guy. He should be able to reach around here, if that's where Roxana goes. Again, just trying to put pressure on, trying to, make the Amazons make 2 or 3 dodge rolls that really need to happen. Put them in a situation where they fail. Yeah, again, the Amazons and Roxana aren't making any progress into our half. Still at turn 5, they're not into my half. So we're doing pretty well, but the Amazons are hanging in there. Yeah, so putting this zombie here, it's much better to have the Amazons move a player over, take that 2 dice block, than have this player free to just walk into my half. So that player is 6 squares further back than they might otherwise have been. Yeah, taking on a 1 dice blitz again. Yeah, he's got 2-year-olds. You'd think eventually this kind of stuff's going to punish him. So I'll have to keep hanging on, hoping for the best. I'll just mark in the square that Roxana can reach there. So I knew on my next turn where I wanted to have the sweeper get back to. So, dodging away from tackle, finally use a reroll up there. Got pretty good value from that reroll. It's a tough decision whether that was worth it or not. Like, you got 3 more turns left, you might want to save them, but also it is good having that blitzer there. It makes a huge difference. And this is a reason. This is half threatening breakaway on this top side of the pitch. If I don't get back and have a reasonable turn, then I might be in a little bit of pressure. So just deciding where to go with that mummy. Just trying to use these 2 players over here to make it more difficult for the Amazons to come back round on this side of the pitch on the next turn. Just trying to get this sweeper back into a position where it can cover wherever Roxana goes. 3 dice into a Amazon, unfortunately it survives, but we can use that to chain push. The mighty blow player back out of position, so we've managed to push them back to a fair degree, made it reasonably difficult. In the end, I was quite worried about this breakaway down this top side, so I've just made a couple of go for us with the skeleton here, just to make that a little bit more difficult. He's got 3 players free, or with a dodge one of those players, so there's every chance that Roxana could get to like here, which is within range, and then scoring on turn 7 is fine. Fortunately for me, my opponent's a little bit block happy. He seems to be quite keen on just taking blocks where they are, rather than thinking about the overall game plan. So I'm not sure taking that block on that zombie was the greatest idea. Probably could have had more. Probably got to here and then been in the scoring position next turn. Yeah, so it's getting to crunch time for the Amazons. It's their turn 6, and then still in their own half of the pitch. In fact, the ball carrier's gone backwards since turn 2. So I have to be reasonably happy with this defence from that regard. Another 1 dicer, but that's at this stage that's fine. That means that player isn't moving into my half this turn. Turn 7 needs to have a player in range, so it's pretty important that any player that doesn't move on the Amazons this turn is good for me, so that's great. If he's taking risky blocks and not moving forward on turn 6, that's great. I mean, that's a slight example of a little bit of lack of experience. Like, there's no need to make that go for it there. The chances of me getting this ghoul and getting to this square are really slim. I'd need to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So I need to make a 3-up dodge and then a 5-up dodge to get half dice on the ball. So there's no need to worry about making that go for it. That could potentially use your last reroll. I don't want to leave this blitzer here as a scoring threat. I feel like if I can blitz her with tackle, and then get the tackle back here, and then get the rest of these guys back round to block off the defence, should be in a reasonably good position. I just wanted to see what the result of that block was before I moved these 3 guys, because if that was just a push, I might have wanted to use 1 more guy over here to defend against it. That's potentially a mistake. I probably should have moved those guys first. Just thinking about the position of this tackler, whether I want to do a go for it, just to get a little bit further back and then save me a go for it or a dodge on my turn 7. Unfortunately, I double 1, so that's just a free touchdown for the Amazons. Yeah, so potentially moving these 3 guys first would have been better. It wasn't as straightforward as that, because I did need this piece of information from this blitzer before I decided on that. I mean, that's a ridiculous play. Like, he's got a free touchdown. He's done his best to screw it up there, like a dodge and a 1 dice block. Just why? So yeah, it's always a frustrating thing when you double 1 and then your opponent does something terrible and gets away with it. But that is the nature of the game. There's no point putting a tackle zone on Oksana here. I might as well go for something silly. Dodging here on a 6 with a reroll is actually better chances of me stopping my opponent scoring than it would be just putting a tackle zone on her and making her roll a 2-up. So I've got 2 chances to roll a 6-up rather than 1 chance to make Roxana roll a 1. Take it in, then we wrestle. Let's see what happens. Blitz action. Get the 6-up. So any push, and then reroll to a skull. So yeah, touchdown. Okay, so second half. Amazon's got pretty reasonable good setup there. That's pretty standard. Cover both flanks quite easily. I've got to make my decision now about whether I want to score early and try and chase the win, or whether I want to just take the draw. It's a difficult decision because you've got to respect Roxana, regardless of what your opponent's doing. She's capable of anything, basically. So it's really difficult decision to make. I think if it wasn't for Roxana, I'd be putting this right in and then trying to score early and pushing for the win. As it is, I'm just going to try and see what happens for a couple of turns, put myself in a position where I can maybe score on turn 4 if I want to, without trying to give away too much. Maybe I chip a few more Amazons might have a chance. So yeah, just trying to protect the ball best I can there. Blocks are for pickups. 1 in 9 is too big a chance of failure to give away all those blocks. To get my tackle guy to do some work. And then just trying to blitzing here to cut off the angle, just trying to make it harder for the Emersons to get round and get in and amongst the ball. Let's try to move the guard here, try and protect the tackle. Wiped a little bit. And then decided to move forward here. So not sure yet whether my opponent's going to be diving straight in with Roxana or trying to use her a bit more passively, a bit more as a threat. So I'll just move the ghoul next to guard and tackle there, just as a little bit of extra protection. It looks like my opponent is going straight in, trying to put people in contact and put pressure that way, which hopefully should be to my advantage. It should give me a few more blocks, give me a few more opportunities to get early potential casualties, which is the main way I'll be thinking about trying to score early. At this point of the drive, I think I make a little bit of a strategic error. I get there's a huge empty flank down here, which is just inviting me to score early. Basically, it's just too inviting. Basically, so kind of get trapped between two ideas. Really, trying to push forward. Down his flank and then get for a definite early score, but that just kind of committed to that more than actually I want to, because I don't want to. Separating from these mummies exposes me a lot more than I want, because with 3 guarders, the Amazon's got a reasonable chance of bullying the rest of my team. So it's a reasonably good idea to try and keep the team. Well, it's always a good idea to keep the team together with the mummies. And so I've got caught between half and half in this turn really. So I didn't push fully forward into this pocket here, which I definitely could have done. And I also didn't just maintain my coherence with the mummies as part of the cage. I was just trying to pivot around these mummies a little bit and trap the Amazons on this side, so that I could push forward to here on my turn 3. But I'm not sure that's the most convincing positional turn. Yeah, that's another little example of getting sucked into blocks. Like, that is exactly where I want that guard guy, trapped on the wrong side of the play. So he's got 2 extra blocks there, but which he's got a KO from. But it's definitely the wrong side of the play for where they want to be. Another 1 die splits. Otherwise, it doesn't make that dodge. I'm just diving down this sideline and scoring quite easily. But again, that's not the right decision. Putting one of your bludgers way behind the play, completely out of position. This is where it all goes horribly wrong. A 4-up, 3-up dodge with this line woman, probably the right thing to do, but unfortunately completely screws me. Marking up this guard player, who otherwise would have been actually really, really useful to try and come forward into this part. So yeah, really a lot of good dice in that turn from my opponent, to put me under quite a bit of pressure. I guess partly due to slightly wishy-washy turn that I played myself. So. Just trying to muscle these guys out of the way, so they are of less use. Unfortunately, that uses a reroll up, which is quite problematic. My original plan for the turn was to one dice block with this the guard guy against the guy without block, and then just that would have maintained my cage. I would have been in a reasonable position, recover from the pressure that I was under. Unfortunately, using that reroll on that skeleton block has meant that I can't really afford to do that. If I roll a 1 there, then it's just over. This guard line woman can just come around here, and then Roxana can leap in and 4 dice. The ball carrier. 2+, so we can't really allow that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to move this ghoul in here and then take a 2 dice block and hope that this play goes down. Is the pressure that a star player like Roxana brings, unfortunately, is that yeah, it doesn't go down, which isn't great. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 2 go for it or 1 dodge and a go for it. If my opponent wants to do the leap in with Roxana this turn, which is a bit of a pickle, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the problem with star players with Roxana. You need basically, if your opponent has 1 lucky turn, or you have 1 unlucky turn, suddenly you're in a position where shenanigans can occur. So my opponent's now decided to come in for a 1 dice blitz on a blodger with Roxana instead of taking the 2 dice, which is not a good idea. I guess it was going into 2 dice with the chain push, and then into more dice this way from this. So it could have had a lot of dice on the board there had that worked, but it seems like they're much more risky play than just bringing this player down and then doing the 4 dice version, which has let me get through. So we'll take that little bit of luck. With Roxana being stunned as well, a reasonably good position this turn. This potentially could have just tried to re-centralise here and then fouled Roxana, and then just taken the draw that way if she went off. But in this situation, I kind of put myself into a position where I'm going to have to score early. Yeah, because my opponent's put all of his players back here behind the play, he's not got a great opportunity to really stop me scoring on my turn. Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain why he decided to blitz with the guy without block rather than the one with block. Could quite easily have just swapped those 2 players over. A few more dodges. That's 1 dice on a blodger, roll a pow, and it's dead as well. Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, I put myself in a position where I was probably going to have to score, but there's potential of me recovering, but my opponent's just gone absolutely nuts on the dice, stunned a mummy, killed a ghoul on a 1 dice pow, which means I basically have to score now. players down. Probably going to get swamped on my next turn because I can't use these two to sort of screen and protect and get a numbers advantage elsewhere on the pitch. In the end, though, I kind of invited that on myself by playing slightly wishy-washy earlier turn, as discussed. So you can only control what you control. You can't control if your opponent gets lucky, makes decisions, gets bad decisions, and gets away with it. That's not in your control. What is in your control is what you do with the decisions you make. So you just have to try and when you get games like this, just try and think back about things you could possibly have done differently. This definitely isn't one of those games where nothing I did will make a difference. Like some games, it's just like everything's a one, blah blah blah. But this isn't one of those games. This is a game where definitely had the not at the rub of the green, but there's the potential that I could have made slightly different decisions. And so yeah, with the centre covered, I decided to keep the mummy, spread the zombies out. Engages more of the Amazon players if they want to make blocks. Attacker guys hanging back, trying to be more flexible. Mummy's trying to be strong on the wings so that I don't just completely give the flanks away. If that had been a skeleton brings up, it'd be quite easy to blitz and then move more players into this area. So luckily these zombies have survived so far. So yeah, this is quite worrying now. He's got 4 turns to score. Roxy's got the ball in the middle of a cage. So yeah, we are in a situation where we need to try and defend really well. And probably try and turn the ball over. If we leave it to the situation where the Amazons get to roll dice with Roxana on turn 8, then there's every likelihood that they score. So we probably have to be a bit more aggressive at this stage, try and put pressure on and try to force a mistake. Whilst also bearing in mind the potential of Roxana just making a run for it. Quite a difficult defence. You need to have somebody sweeping, whilst also trying to put some pressure on. Thought long and hard about committing to that ghoul next to a block guy, but in the end, we're in the end game, so we need to take a little bit of a risk. Again, just counting out squares with Roxana. Okay, and I'll sweep her back into position. Oof. Another failure with the skeletons. So we managed to get a chain bush to get that mummy into that square, which tags both of those two players up. We couldn't otherwise reach as easily. And then we can get our blitz on with the tackle guy, who unfortunately double skulls. So, not having the best of times, but we've still got plenty of pressure on, so we'll have to see what the Amazon can do on this turn. Just have to wait and see at this point. I think we've got enough pressure on. But that double skulls hasn't completely destroyed us. We're not just out of the game. But yeah, that tackle white is had a nightmare, isn't he? There's a double one in the first half to give away a free touchdown, and a double skulls in this drive. He's meant to be the most important man against Emerson's. Roxana's looking a bit exposed there, so we might have to have a couple of dodge rolls to recover this cage position. Ooh, that was crucial. That was the big one. Oh, finally a 1 in 9 block for the Amazons. So no rerolls left for the Amazons, which is a positive. That was a good dodge though, getting that person into range as a threat. Means I have to worry about more than one thing. Yeah, but I think we've got something now. I've got a potential chain push to get a blitz on Roxana now. I've kind of done what we were trying to aim for in the first half, but didn't really pan out. I think we can get it now. In doing so, it's turn 7. We need to get somebody in square range to work if we want to win. I don't think we can do that and turn over the ball, so I think we just have to go for the turnover and then try and take the draw at this point. Okay, so we get the first push. That one he's also got guard, which means that got a much better chance of getting this to work. Okay, there we go. So the skeleton will come in, that's great, and now the zombie can hit, and here we go. Okay. Old triple chain push. Got to enjoy those kind of things. Now I've got a lot of options here as to who we blitz with. Roxana doesn't have blocks, so we could have just gone in with the ghoul here. But I've got a rear on the bank, so I decided I'll go with tackle instead. Could have gone with a mummy potentially. But I decided to go for that route, and turned out to be crucial because I needed to use that tackle, and unfortunately the bounce is just horrific. The bounce comes out here, then I can probably get 4 tackles on it, and then we are doing well. But I decided to pile in with a mummy into the danger area where the ball is, and then desperation attempt to try and foul Roxana with no assists because she's just that dangerous, and it is turn 7, so I thought it was worth a nibble. It's still quite problematic now. We can get rid of all the tacklers in the ball, and then just pick up with Roxana. But that's fine. I mean, you do all you can. I think we've done pretty well to get some 2 dice on Roxana at all. So we just have to take that as it lies. Yeah, I can blitz this ghoul off, and then Roxana can do what she wants. I mean, with all this pressure on, we've made it so that you can't really get a cage with Roxana in scoring range, so it's probably down to a passing play, which with no rerolls left isn't guaranteed. This is it, the big moment. Lucky enough, my opponent makes a mistake because I think going for the, a 3-up pass there is probably a better option than the leap at that stage. I'm not sure exactly where she was going to end up. The sun as well means that got a lot better chance of stopping them scoring on turn 8. So that's going to be our main priority. Lucky enough to get power there, that really helps. It means we can block this guy out and didn't need that POW. Push would have been fine. Free up these 2 whites at the top. unfortunately that was a misclick. I meant to click on a blitz section there with this guy, which would have been a lot better, obviously. Sometimes these misclicks happen. Never mind. We've got 5 tackle zones on the ball, so gonna have to hope that's enough. Probably gonna have to dodge with this ghoul now to cover up for that misclick. Lucky enough that works. And managed to get the player down, so there's only one person square range, so that's the best we can do. And we shall have to see what happens. So it's quite correctly just going for... Oh. Well, I thought he was. He should have... Well, I knew he went for the bingo bounce on the zombie. I assumed he would do that with the guy. But, yeah, that's just crazy. That bounce could not have been any better. Literally the best place that could possibly have gone. Another casualty on a ghoul. That's 3 ghouls casualtied versus... just 1 Amazon, and then yeah, so it's on. He's made a 3-up dodge, needs a 3-up pickup, 4-up pass, and some go for it's and a 4-up pass. And lucky enough for me, he does not get it. So that was the end of the game. Finished 1-1. Probably happy enough to take that in the end, given some of the events that transpired. Things happen. It can always play better. Definitely, I said in the second half I should have done a bit better on. So just have to focus on that and try and think about those kind of turns in future. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please press those like and subscribe buttons if you are so inclined. And you can also check out my Patreon page, link below. And that's got a list of all of my articles and videos all together in one place. You can also sign up for coaching, have me make a video on one of your games if that's something you're interested in. Lots of options on there. So, thank you again. See you next time.